engineers and scientists seem like they've been making robots more and more lifelike. And at least from my experience, the PR releases I get, a lot of these are coming out of Japan for some reason. There's the Repli R1 robot, which is modeled after a 5-year-old Japanese girl. It's pretty creepy. There's the CB2, which is the child with biometric body. And one of my favorites, there's a robotic female head designed to tell you if you have bad breath, called Kaori Time. Surely there are reasons that you've got to make robots more lifelike. I mean, if you're creating something to train medical personnel, for example. But at what point does this stop becoming a normal progression and start becoming creepy? Where is this going? You think we're there already, Liz?
I think we're already there.
We're already at the creepy part.
I mean, there are good places for robots to be a little bit more human-like. There's robots that are used for children with autism.
Sure.
And they respond really well to them. They actually hug them and want to play with them, which is actually, very unusual for a child with autism. So those kind of robots are great. But I don't understand why we feel like we have to give robots emotions. There's a new one out that Carnegie Mellon has started developing, and he plays Scrabble with people on the campus, and he trash talks. So if he starts losing, he starts getting angry and starts saying nasty things to people. And I don't know. Do we really want a robot getting mad at us? I don't think so.
And I mean, to your point about should we do this, I mean, part of the answer I think is just the sheer challenge, right? Because I mean, if you look at some of the various, at the very earliest robots, they were just dumb metallic arms or something that could reach and pick something up. Well, someone's going to look at that and say, well, that's not good enough. Let's try to make it more realistic. Let's try to, So it's kind of like human nature to try to like make it better and make it better and make it better. Do we know where that line is? I mean, I don't think anyone really does. We might all have different, ideas of what it is, of when it becomes creepy, like the little, was it the little girl doll or something?
The Nexi robot out of MIT was the one they put out a YouTube video a couple years ago, and they were trying to get the public's view on what they thought about it. And I think that the quote that stuck out with me was, it was like a possessed doll masquerading as a giant toddler. So
that sounds about right.
I think the jury,
There's some people in the office like that.
Well, I mean, different tastes, different strokes for different folks. But I mean, I think the idea is if robots are going to be more commonplace, we're going to be interacting with them on a day-to-day basis. I guess, they think people will interact with them more naturally if they have the facial, their eyes move, they show emotion on their face. Is it creepy? Kind of.
And they do. I mean, they've done studies that show the more human-like these robots are, people treat them differently. People act differently around them. I mean, think of that Roomba or Zumba or whatever it's called. I don't know.
People name them.
Those the vacuum cleaner robots.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that's just a little it looks like a flying saucer that's crash landed or something, right? Now think of that and think of one of these robots that has human features and can trash talk or do whatever. That's a completely different kind of device.
But I feel like this need to be interacting with robots is the question. Why do we feel the need to be interacting with robots? We're so addicted to our technology. You go out onto a bus or a train and no one looks up from their phones or their iPads. We're not interacting with each other. Do we need to interact with more technology? I think we need a little bit more human-to-human interaction. And so I think it needs to stop.
Developers are doing this in order to make it easier for the average person to feel comfortable with these things. Yeah, but I don't feel that way.
What about this? Do we think
I don't think it's necessary.
Do we think this trend will continue into industrial robotics? At first blush, you might say no, but on the other hand, we've talked before about like the talent, the labor pool, and you don't have enough people, not just engineers, but the people to do those kind of the skilled labor where you've got to interact with these machines. Is it progress to make some of this machinery, these robots, seem more human-like or more easy for the layman to deal with?
It could be, but it could also make it seem like more of a threat. Again, I mean, because for years people have been saying that robots are taking our jobs. Now if you have a robot that can walk into the plant and look just like you, wow, that's an even bigger problem for workers. I mean, I never thought about it like that when you asked that question, but I mean that could be a whole other argument against that.
But another
in a
direction
plant.
too. I mean, I went to ABB's Tech Days last month, and they demoed this robot. It's not for sale yet, but they demoed this 2-armed robot basically. That's designed to be portable. You can move it in and out of work cells, and what they've basically kind of done is that if you have kind of standard robots now used in industry and factories, those have to have like safety cells, all these safety mechanisms, because there's a lot of force there. People can get injured. These are designed to kind of use less force, so that you can kind of like bump into the robot or even touch it by its arm, or like it uses such little force that it's almost like having a person next to you, right? And they're doing simple things, picking up parts, putting things together, doing that kind of thing. But that might be the next step, I think.
But it doesn't have a face.
Not yet.
That's
Not
that's
yet.
where I draw the line.
Well, I think it
Maybe.
depends on the application. Like you said, if you have an autistic child who you want to interact with a robot, then yeah, you want it to look personal, you want it to have emotion. But if it's sitting in a factory, I don't see the need why it would have to have a face or,
You
look
just want it to do a
confused or-
task,
Right,
basically,
it's
and like
very,
that's it.
yeah,
And those robots do save workers. They save their backs. They save, everything. I mean, they're not lifting all these heavy things up anymore. They're just, controlling the machine, which, it is made a worker's life a lot easier. So they are a good thing, but I think it just goes to the point of how humanoid do we want them to be.
Well, we want to hear what you think about robots. Is this a good progression to make them more humanoid, or does it kind of creep you out? Please answer in the comments below, and also check out all of our Design World videos that we have online at www.designworldonline.com. Thanks for joining us.